Joanna, Jordan. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final session of our two-day research showcase, what we call Spring Institute. At this time, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. Today's final session, Community-Driven Research in the Age of Participatory Culture, includes 5 presenters, 2 of whom will present together. We will hold off on questions until the last presentation is done, at which point I will call up the speakers for a panel discussion. After the panel discussion, you will have an opportunity to meet the researchers in person or to visit what we're calling engagement tables that are set up in Clifford Carl Hall, and those will be available until 4 o'clock. Over the past 2 days, we've been exploring research from within the museum context. Today's session pushes outward from this standpoint to look at some of the work we're doing with research partners, as in the case of the Landscapes of Injustice project, which will be presented today by the project lead, Dr. Jordan Stanger-Ross of the University of Victoria. We will also look at initiatives that are exploring new dimensions of partnership with a variety of communities and areas of knowledge. But what does participatory culture mean, and why do it? One definition I've found describes participatory culture as a culture in which artistic expression and civic engagement are valued and are oriented towards creating and sharing one's creations. Participatory culture thus focuses our attention on civic engagement within which we value individual and community-led histories. Within the museum context, a commitment to participatory culture requires that the preservation of community values takes priority over the collection of material culture. A relationship of trust based on respect and mutual reciprocity grounds participatory projects and initiatives. The University of Victoria's Office of Community Engaged Research advises us that it takes about 8 years to build authentic relationships with communities. Indeed, the current Pocket Gallery exhibition in Clifford Carl Hall is based on relationships built by Dr. Zui Chung, the project partners, and other staff at the Royal BC Museum over the course of 6 years. Participatory culture and community-driven research stands in contrast to the museum practice of focusing on state actions to inform historical narratives. The experiences of individuals and communities are supplanted in favor of the grand narrative, which usually unfolds according to mainstream cultural perspectives. Upstairs, you can pass through the galleries that make up the story of becoming BC. This is a story that begins in that gallery with the European discovery of BC's coast, followed by a commercial rush to exploit the province's natural resources, logging, mining, fishing, and agriculture. Today, we acknowledge the shortcomings of these galleries, beautiful as they are, and we are working towards a recontextualization of these displays. Because museums have never just presented the facts, they are also places of interpretation. So for me, participatory culture and community-driven research is a form of social justice, without which the museum cannot fulfill its ethical responsibility to represent all the people of British Columbia, both in our present dimension of heritage, but also from time immemorial. Because one of my roles at the Royal BC Museum is to help coordinate the annual Spring Institute, I took advantage of my position to appoint myself the moderator for this session. I'm a big fan of all of today's speakers. I think I actually have a bit of a groupie complex, so if anyone in this session is interested in taking it on the road, I'm up for being your moderator, your tech person, your person who gets you coffee. I'm in. So let's begin now with by bringing up Dr. Zui Chung from the Knowledge Department and Chris O'Connor from the Learning Department, who are working collaboratively to explore the challenges of representation within all facets of museum work.